Tinubu threatened the Presidential Election Tribunal in Democracy Day speech, lawyer says. Yeah, so this is a legal practitioner, Festus Ogun, having listened through Tinubu's Democracy Day speech, and what resonated with people so much is that any court order that will affect the Nigerian democracy will no longer be tolerated. And so that is almost like a very bad negative signal to the current sitting election tribunal, that they should be careful, because anything they do that will affect democracy in Nigeria will not be accepted. But unfortunately, the other way around is the thing. If the judiciary can give the real realistic court orders that will promote democracy in Nigeria, it should be followed, even though there might be inconvenience at the beginning. That is the truth. But if they influence them and they go issue something else because they are threatened, then democracy will continue to be endangered in Nigeria. Okay, a legal practitioner, Festus Ogun, has condemned a section of Democracy Day speech President Bola Tinubu delivered on Monday. It has become imperative to state here that the unnecessary illegal orders used to truncate or abridge democracy will no longer be tolerated, Tinubu said in his nationwide broadcast. In response, the human rights activist stated that the Nigerian leader threatened the judiciary, warning that intimidation of judges will not be tolerated as well. Ogun believes the president's reckless threat to the judiciary is deliberately targeted at the eminent justices of the Presidential Election Tribunal. To be clear, any tribunal order declaring Tinubu's return as invalid cannot truncate democracy. It will rather strengthen it, the lawyer argued. Tinubu's statement was an affront in a democracy, which amounts to a subtle attack on the tenets of separation of powers as enshrined under Section 4, 5, and 6 of the 1999 Constitution, he said. The principal partner of Festus Ogun legal stressed that court orders are meant to be obeyed and not regarded as illegal. That is it. Such an assertion, according to him, is an abuse and a calculated attempt by Tinubu to subvert Nigeria's tottering democracy. This signifies a government that will not respect court orders, particularly unfavorable ones they consider illegal, Ogun added. That is exactly what it is, actually. Because actually, before now, Nigerian government has been known not to be respecting court orders, not to be obeying rule of law, not to be obeying court orders and court judgment before now. So I don't see Tinubu to be a different person. That is the truth. I don't see Tinubu to be a different person. So, but for Tinubu to come out and make this kind of statement that court orders and court judgments that will truncate democracy will no longer be tolerated. Which court order will truncate democracy and which one will not truncate democracy? All of this judgment rests in the intellect of the judges and the justices. That is the way to go. And so when it comes out, it's assumed by all fairness and by all decency that the judgment coming from the judges, the justices, and all of them will be clear and will be concise and will be fair to every situation in Nigeria. But unfortunately, even when such judgments come, the federal government don't obey law. They don't obey rule of law. They don't obey court judgment. They don't obey court orders. That is the history of Nigeria. So Tinubu might not be different. Okay, but this lawyer, legal practitioner Festus Ogun, has said that the man just threatened democracy and also threatened the judges and threatened the judiciary arm of government. He's supposed to respect the sections 4, 5, and 6 of the Nigerian Constitution that respects separation of powers among the government functionaries. That is between the executive, the legislators, and the judiciary, and they're supposed to operate in independency. Okay, but going by what has been going in Nigeria, You see where the executive influence what happened at the Senate and House of Rep, which are the legislators, influence what happened in the judiciary. The president appoints or decides or determines who should be the Senate president, who should be the Speaker of the House of Rep. The president determines who should be the Attorney General and Minister for Justice of the Federation. The president determines who should be the Army, the Navy, the Air Force Chief of Staff, and the Chief of Defense Staff. The president determines who should be the governor of the central bank. So at the end of the day, he has the government and the country in his pocket. So there's nothing like separation of powers in Nigerian democracy. It had never been, and I wonder how it will continue to be this time from this Tinubu and his ways of doing things. I'm just surprised. I would not be surprised if the trend continues under Tinubu's administration. Okay, if the trend continues under Tinubu's administration. So, somebody is saying here, there are a few comments that we have here, and somebody is saying, that was quite exactly what I saw. A drug baron power snatcher who didn't win presidential election and with massive evidence against him must go down in shame whether he likes it or not. That is what this person is saying here. Yeah. Okay. How can a drug baron power snatcher who did not win presidential election be threatening our judiciary for doing their job? Does he think the presidency is Lagos with Funshaw Williams and Gawat and as well the victims of Lekki Tollgate and NSAS gruesome massacres? That is the big question that's coming from there. So that is what is somebody said, Olodo, some activists just believe they can fool us always. Hear him clearly truncate the democracy process, just like what happened in June 12th. Exactly. Okay. So another is saying, fool was it a court order that truncated June 12th election? He is threatening the judiciary, knowing quite well that Nigeria does not have strong judicial system. It is a pity. That is it. And that is the gospel truth about it. Yeah? So, he's going to get it. It's not going to be as usual. People will continue to speak out as things continue to grow. Somebody say a thief is a thief. Tinubu threatened and blackmailed Buhari and APC to win the party's presidential primary. He bribed INEC to win the presidential election. What do you expect from that kind of person? Nothing good shall ever come from him. That I know. And that's what somebody is also saying here. So that is the truth here. Whether some people like it or not, whether some people insult this lawyer or not, the truth remains that Tinubu will continue to do anything possible to sustain and retain power and remain in power. That is the truth. And I'm sure even if the judiciary says that his return certificate is invalid because he didn't win election, he will not obey court judgment. He will rather cause mayhem and remain there because he's so desperate that he will not even relinquish power even when the court says he should go. If eventually court says he should go, that he didn't win election, Tinubu will never release power. That I know also for sure. So it's quite unfortunate we're in this environment where people can do things that are illegitimate and violate laws and get away with it. Ordinarily, what happened during the presidential election should send some of them to jail. Should send Mahmoud Yakubu to jail, first of all. Should send all the INEC returning officers, the state resident electoral commissioners, some of them should be in jail by now. That is the truth. For the statement that came out from MC Oluomo, that came out from Festus Keyamo, that came out from FFK, that came out from Bayo Nanoga, all these people should be in jail by now. Statement coming from Erufai in Kaduna, okay, should put him in jail by now. But this is a country where, because we say we have law, it's actually not lawlessness because we have law. But unfortunately, people appear to be bigger than the law because of their influence in a position. And that is why there's no rule of law. And that's why government does not obey law in Nigeria. Quite unfortunate that we're in this mess. It's okay. So Tinubu has succeeded in threatening the judiciary and democracy day. And let's see how that will either positively or negatively influence the outcome of the tribunal.